Thanks. Yeah, it's great.
Thank you. We are recording and we are live. You can take it and share it to your page if you want, or do it later, whatever you want to do, Carlos.
Okay.
Hi there, everybody. This is Linda Marcus Smith, Comic Spot Interviews. They go to YouTube and eventually they'll go to Spotify. And if I have anything to do with it, you will see them at 7-Eleven on camera too. So look for those. Today we have an amazing comedian. He's really out there doing comedy and he's very well known. It's not like I have some kind of schlub here that no one's ever heard of. He's really somebody in the comedy scene. And I share these videos with veteran-owned companies and veteran organizations because I'm a veteran. And yeah, thanks. If you're speaking English, it's because of me. And so, yeah, so I'm so happy to have him here. And I have to stop and tell everybody every time I have a sponsor who pays and makes these possible. So if you're military, senior, a veteran, a child, go check out ahabroadway.org. They're in New York City and Manhattan, and they teach those groups of people for a very affordable price. And for instance, a veteran can get trained for $10 a session to be a better comedian by a well-known East Coast headliner, Chris Murphy. Oh, so it used to be Vanessa Hollingshead, and I'm a graduate of her class, and she is like dope for it. She's one of the best female comedians out there for act outs. Get a hold of her too. She's no longer with AHA, but thank you so much for being a sponsor, AHA Broadway. So there's to that. And now for today's episode, oh my gosh, I couldn't sleep. Well, that's because I have insomnia. But the point is, I've got a really good intro to read to you. Oh my gosh, he takes my breath away with the things he's accomplished. And if you have any love or passion for comedy and entertaining, you will get a real kick out of this intro. Carlos was thrown into comedy being brought up in a large family of characters. He quickly became a fast-talking entertainer, which eventually led him to comedy. Taking the stage, you see in the inner child come out with all the passion, excitement, and energy of a new performer, with the grace and comfort of a seasoned pro. Carlos brings a clever and silly and approachable voice to comedy. I was listening to his video just before this, because I'm a student and I procrastinate. And that's so true. Exactly what he said. He brings about the passion of an inner child with the seasoned grace of a pro and comfort. Carlos brings a clever, silly, and approachable voice to comedy. In a fun and relatable way, his observational humor touches beyond daily occurrences to deep-rooted memories of his childhood views on the simplest of ideas and the most offbeat subject matter. I can attest to that. Listen to a few of the things he's accomplished. Look how young he is. He's got a list of things he's accomplished that you can't see on my cell phone. Okay. He's done USO tours. Yeah, that's what excites me because I'm a veteran. And when I was in the military, you know who came to entertain us? ABBA.
Oh, really?
And the Carpenters, not a comedian in sight. Oh. Yeah, so USO comedy, yes. Mm-hmm. He's performed at the Up Next Comedy Central Comic, which I have no idea. We're going to find out what that is. The Up Next Comedy Central Comic. Hulu's Quick Laughs, Comedy Time TV. He featured on Doug Benson Loves Movies podcast. Look up Doug Benson if you don't know who it is. It's a good thing to find out. Brent Ernst's podcast. Jamie Foxx's Foxhole. Oh my gosh. 2018 North Hollywood Comedy Festival. 2016 and 18 SLO Comedy Festival, and voted best for the fest. Oh my gosh. 2017 and 18 Big Pine Fest. 2016 and 17 World Series of Comedy. I'm running out of air. 2015 San Francisco Sketch Fest. Finalist for 2014 and 15 San Francisco International Comedy Competition, voted 2013, 14, 15 Best Comic in Sacramento by Sac News and Review. Oh my gosh. Not just because people came and voted for him, because he really deserved it. There's a little of my thoughts. Okay. Winner of 2012 CSA comedy competition, a finalist in San Francisco Tommy T's $20,000 competition, a regular at comedy clubs throughout the states, and he has headlined for the military troops overseas. Get my tissues, folks, and been on stages in 4 continents: Europe, Asia, Australia, and probably he means this one. And if I get much older, I'll be incontinent. I'm just about to get incontinent reading this. Oh my gosh. Welcome to the stage, the amazing Carlos Rodriguez. Yay.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey, hello.
Hi. Talk to me. What's going on in your life today? What city are you in? What's going on?
Right now I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I have some time off, so I'm enjoying it. Yeah, I'm enjoying the day and a half I have off, and then I'm gonna get back on it because I'm afraid that it might not be around anymore. So I say yes to everything right now.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm saying yes to that. Yeah, there's our rumors that things are going to be closing up again, and that, like, I don't know. There's so many polarized opinions of it. Everybody's arguing about everything. We don't want to go political, but I get what you're saying. You're saying. Generally, prior to COVID, how many days a year have you been performing before COVID?
Quite a bit. Like I would say every weekend, somewhere, something, either a comedy club or on the road on an off night room, or stuff that I produce as well, because I would also produce comedy shows at like small towns and stuff like that have like really good stages or and stuff like that. So try to scout those out. And so I would be on stage quite a bit to the point where I was I'd be uncomfortable off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a good feeling to be, like, how many years have you done comedy? I've been in it almost 8 years. What about you?
I started stand-up when I was 16, and I stopped when I was 20, and then I came back at 20, close to 28. I want to say I was just about to turn 28. And that's I've been doing it for now 13 years consistently, but I guess altogether something, I don't know. I don't even know. I can't do the math. That's why I'm a comic. I don't
Wow.
I'm not good with arithmetic.
Yeah. So you're traveling around and you've done the USO tours. I'm going to go into your childhood up through the future in a minute. But right now, when I was reading your intro, I had no idea what Up Next Comedy Central comic is. Is that a Comedy Central thing?
Yeah, it was a Comedy Central thing. They were like doing it was a while back. It was like on their website. They started doing like talent searches and stuff like that, and then they were just featuring you on little webisodes after a while. And so it was of this little tiny show that they were doing, and I was like, okay, cool. But they went to I got through it at the San Jose Improv, which is one of my favorite stages in California. San Jose Improv is just so beautiful. I don't know if you've ever had a chance to see it, but it's like a legit theater. And I want to say it was either Houdini or Chaplin, or one of them performed on that stage or something like that. It's in the back, and it says it too over there. So yeah.
Wow.
But it's a
What
really nice
city
stage.
is that in?
San Jose.
San Jose. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so yeah, doing that, and then trying to think what else too. Where was in the good stage at? Laughs Unlimited is my home club in Sacramento.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so I will tell you, in your pictures, let me see here, that you sent me and I shared. Yeah, in those pictures, another thing that makes me tickled down to my toes is that You had a picture of Harvey's Comedy Club.
Yeah.
So guess where my roots are?
Oh, you're in Portland?
I'm from Portland. Are you from Portland
No, I'm from Sacramento, California. But
originally? Okay.
yeah,
Talk to
originally.
me about your ties to Harvey's Comedy Club.
I got to do Harvey's. I did it. I went up there and guest spotted. I want to say Barry owned it at one point.
Yes.
The owner. So I
Yes.
guest spotted there. They said they're gonna have me back, and it didn't work out. And then I ended up getting back there when they had new ownership. Jeff had booked me and Anna, and so I got to do up there, and I really like it. And I got to bring my own feature, which is great. So I got to have a buddy with me, and we kind of like, checked out Bridge City and went all over the place. And it's a really food centric area. I ate tons of food, and bar food is good there. Like bar food is really, really good. I was surprised. I was like, this burger is like should be like $17 because it's like that good. And I
They
really like it.
mandated that every bar has to have at least 5 good food items because of an 1800s law where and they mandated that you have to have water and water fountains, and like everything revolved around the street, people just wandering the streets. And even to this day, they still make laws in Portland to make sure that if people are drinking, out walking and drinking, that they're not inebriated without food or water.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, a little bit there.
Yeah, and then I hung out over I was in Beaverton. Beaverton's pretty cool, so I got to check out like the Nike campus, and it was pretty interesting, man. I was walking around all over the place hanging out. There's this really good macaroni and cheese spot that's late night, like 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't remember exactly what the name of it is, but someone who's ever from Portland, they probably would know her. Something like
Wow,
that.
is that out on the west side near Beaverton that you're talking?
That one, no, that one was more towards the like where Helium is at area, I want to say.
Okay.
Where
Well,
like
there's a place called Holman's. It's an all-night place, restaurant. Could it have been an old big bar that's called Holman's?
no, this is like a walk-up place almost, because they have like those walk-up places too that are like a bunch of, went to a place called Chicken and Guns out there. And there's so many, and it was crazy because it's like you go to these little food areas, and it'll be like, these little pop-up, squares where they've got like these really good barbecue or really amazing, like a falafel. For some reason I'm eating one now. I'm like, oh, this is great. It's like I left that place, gained like 7 pounds. There's then that's I didn't get to go. We went to, but I forgot my ID. Oh, because I left my wallet. I left my wallet in Sacramento when I flew out to Harvey's. And so they were like, hey, you got to go to this strip club that has good steak. And I was like, there's a strip club that serves good steak. And they're like, yeah. I was like, you guys are just trying to get me to go out there. But I was like, all right, let's go. So we went, but I couldn't go in because I forgot my ID. But I hear it's like, it's no joke. Like they really do have, like, the guy owns apparently he owns a cattle ranch and he owns a strip club. So he makes it all together. A Copperopolis is called.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Acropolis?
Or something like that. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. I didn't even know that. And I lived there most of my life.
Yeah,
So they have a comic club downtown in Portland where they do comedy and a mic once a week on Fridays. And it used to be where the paddy wagons would line up and take people out of there because all the shenanigans going on upstairs, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And now it's like a bar, and it used to be Dante's is the place.
Okay.
And it has this whole rich history in the past of really bad things that they got in trouble for, really bad. And I got to do a mic there, and I put on, the young kids don't know the history of the club. So I put on like 18 layers of clothes that day, like just layered up. And I went in and I said, every time you laugh at one of my jokes, I'm going to do just like this club did in the 70s. I'm going to take my clothes off.
Oh, wow.
I just never had enough laughs to make it dangerous. Made sure that.
Yeah. That's too fun.
But yeah, Portland. So next time you go to Portland, if you do, hit me up, because my mother for 40 years owned a bar up on the West Hills,
Mhm.
and I'll make sure you get treated right by the owner, who now makes documentaries. He's
Oh,
a film dude.
oh, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Big in a film. I love documentaries. As a matter of fact, I just I'm just finishing up right now the 9/11 one that's on National Geographic. It's on Hulu right now, the One Day in America, and I'm gonna start up this one on Netflix with about a hockey team that was bought by mobsters, and it was like a double A hockey team that was bought up by mobsters. And then there's something else too I want to say. Oh, I just got done watching Val's on Prime with Val Kilmer, his own documentary. And then I went to the movie theater and I watched Roadrunner, the Anthony Bourdain documentary. But some people were telling me that, like, well, I mean, I read a couple of articles about how, like, you know, they made they used his voice, they computer enhanced his voice and clipped it in to read an email that he had written. So they're like, we don't, this is trash, this documentary's trash. But I mean, the document's great. I read the book recently too, the Kitchen Confidential, and it's really good. It's very you could see very parallels with stand up and being in the restaurant industry, you know.
Really?
Yeah, totally, definitely. Characters, people, jobs, running around, traveling, not knowing when, you know, when one place is going to close down, another one's going to open up, you know, relationships, tons of that stuff. Yeah.
Wow. I
Yeah.
wouldn't even have thought of that. That's
Yeah.
cool.
That's why I think Harvey's is, I don't know if Harvey's is even coming, if it's back or if it's going to come back.
I just got a message from Barry, the original owner, for you guys listening. So Barry Colon, who is a year older than me, I'm
Mhm.
happy to tell you, and he graduated from my high school, and I had a crush on him and walked past his house every day, miles out of the way, just to see if I could see him. Anyway, I let go of the crush, but yeah, he wrote me. We think it's funny now. He wrote me the other day to tell me that it looks like Harvey's might get a new owner and reopen. So Barry owns all the hardware,
Mhm.
but being able to run the club and sell tickets and that kind of thing, that will be the new owner. And it was Jeff and Doug and Howard. There was like two partners and a silent partner. The brother to Doug was, so there were three people running it, and it had a lot of hard knocks. And then of course, the pandemic knocked it out. So
Yeah, it's a great club. Like I had a blast, man. It was fun. I was really fun. I felt like my home club in Sacramento, and I was like, oh, this is what's up. And I it was funny because, like, me and the whole staff, the staff was great too that was there. Like we went out afterwards, and there was an arcade bar down the way. We all hung out, and I don't
did you
drink.
go
And
out with Eric, the bartender?
yeah, I went out with Eric. Yeah, I went out with Eric, and we still correspond a little bit here back and forth on Facebook, and yeah, so we all went out there and hung out. And I don't drink and stuff like that, so I bought tons of chicken wings. We just all got wasted on hot sauce.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I love that club. It'll always be near and dear to my heart. So what club was yours in Sacramento?
Laughs Unlimited.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's what you said. So here's what I noticed, and I know it's true. I'm not asking your opinion. I'm actually telling you something about Sacramento comics from
Mhm.
my point of view. In the time that I was at Harvey's, I got to interview 38 of their comedian headliners coming through.
Mhm.
So in that time, I saw maybe 20 of them from Sacramento.
Oh wow.
And by far, Sacramento comics are the ones that hit it out of the park, knock it out, blow the roof off the place. They never let you down. What is it that's going on in Sacramento that makes for such strong comics?
I think it was so when I came in the first time, when I came in when I was 16, I hung out for about 4 years, and then I took off and went to go live life. But it was interesting because the whole Sacramento had a reputation of being a hack, so they used to call it like Hacramento and whatnot and stuff. So when I came back at 27 or so like that, it was very evident that we wanted to get rid of that 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 stigma. And so we were opening up a lot of open mics, and for a while in Sacramento, um like between 2005 and maybe 2009, we had a mic every night, and sometimes, two or three. And the good thing about it was is that it wasn't comics that were at the mics, it was people, like actual audience. So we got a lot of stage time in a little bit of time. So we just kept doing it and kept doing it. And then on top of that, we all no one was there was not it was not a competition. It was more like, let's get good. So if someone had something good on stage, they got off, and you tell them, and you'd be like, yo man, but actually you can make it better with, here's a line, or have you ever thought about this, and have you ever went through this way? And we kind of had like this secret award for every night. Someone had the set of the night, so you want to get the set of the night. And you want kind of like, it was respectable because everyone wanted to be around a killer, so you wanted to be a killer, and so it was really good like that. And it just made this good culture of comic. And then passing down a lot of information. No one was like, I'm gonna hoard it for myself, or there's not enough seats. It wasn't any of that. It was strictly for comedy. And then it's so funny because it's like, you're the second person to say that this week, because I went and did I went and got hit up by the Amazon Prime people to do a set at the Notoriety here in Las Vegas, for their Laugh After Dark thing. And they were like, yeah, they go, where are you from? And I told them I'm from Sacramento. They go, wow, we've been having really good luck with Sacramento comedians. They started naming people, and I was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, those are all I know all those guys and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. And so they were like, wow, so they were really, and I told them also too, I go, you also, NBC has a Stand Up for Diversity talent thing that they do every year.
Wow.
And at one point, I want to say, except for the last time they had it, Renee, I think Renee Vasquez won it. No, Renee Vaca won it. And then, but before that, 3 comics won it, and they're all from Sacramento. And so we've been doing that. And I just been out here doing the same.
See, I just thought it was happenstance, but a part of me thought, well, Sacramento has strong comics because maybe a rough crowd, this is me thinking in a box, maybe a rough crowd comes to the comedy, and they have to knock it out of the park, or the crowd will turn on them.
Yeah, because we had a lot of mics, and on top of that, the Laughs Unlimited was a really interesting place to start, especially for a lot of comics in Sacramento, because like not very many people. Anyways, because there's more than one club in Sacramento. But so what would happen is, if you're in Laughs, in Old Sac, it's a tourist section. So when you first go up and you try to do local material, they don't get it because they're not local. This is all touristy stuff. You got a whole bunch of the owners giving tickets or marketing towards the hotels that are all over the place. So people are coming from, Wisconsin, and they're on a business retreat. So it's like, you talk about a city that next town over, they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. We're from Milwaukee, so it's like, you have to already start writing as general as you possibly can, as opposed to writing local and trying to figure it out. It's like, no, I have to write stuff that everyone's going to get universally. So then when you do go out on the road, you can say that there, and it'll still be same hit. You know what I mean? When people aren't like, so you're explaining us this bad neighborhood that's down the street from where you live. It's too contrived, too derivative. So just hurry up with the hit, cut the fat.
It's so amazing. I'm so glad I asked, because I had no idea that they purposely set out to prove a stereotype of them wrong, and did all kinds of things to make themselves stand out. And they've been accomplishing. To me, it was like, I just feel like Sacramento comics, and I had no basis for it until right now.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, because there was a lot of things like, especially since you're Sacramento, and, people call you Bay Area all the time. And it's like, we're not the Bay Area. We're not at all. We don't want to be the Bay Area. So it's like, we want to set ourselves aside. Like, this is not, I'm not trying to be, meta or super heady. I just want you to boom, 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 get these jokes and whatnot. But now it's that's all like from that era and then you're seeing it now or whatnot. But I don't know what it's like now. It might be different, but
Yeah.
it's from when I grew up and when I came from that spot, that's that generation of that class of us trying to just get better.
When I was at Harvey's, I would sit and watch 7 shows a week.
Oh wow.
Every time a headliner, I saw every show. And anytime they play up on the screen who was going to be coming, and whenever they would mention they're from Sacramento, caught wind that one from, I knew they were going to knock it out of, I mean, sure, like the Jimmy Schuberts from Philadelphia knock it out of the park, but when you hear the word Sacramento, I mean, that's how I felt when I heard Sacramento.
Yeah, you're
all
like,
on my
okay.
own.
Yeah,
That's so
that's what I
cool.
like about the business model at Laughs Unlimited. What Jenny has done right now too, and how she books is she books for funny. She doesn't really book for fame. So it's like, her job. She says that her job is to keep booking funny, so people keep coming back, not for a name. She was like, so, and it's great because it's actually kept a lot of really good comedians working and out there too, and creating a good brand.
Yes, absolutely. I've seen a lot of people come through clubs with names, and I'm not going to say bomb, that's kind of judgmental, but not knock it out of the park with names with all kinds of credits, but no ability to knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
It doesn't guarantee you anything with the name. Good for Jenny. Yeah, good job, Jenny.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jenny. Well, let's go back in time. Where did you grow up, and what's the earliest recollection of you being funny or observing funny?
I was born in Sacramento, California, in 1982. I'm trying to think the first account of me being funny. I don't know really. Oh, well, I know the first time I got a good laugh.
Okay.
So the first time I got a good laugh, I always knew I wanted to be a comedian, though. I did know that. I found out recently because my dad had a whole bunch of old stuff that he collected from when I was a kid, and there's this like arts and craft project from, I want to say it's from second grade, and it says I want to be a comedian when I grow up. And the reason why I knew what a comedian was, people are like, how you know when that early? But it's like I knew from that early because my dad's cousin, he babysat me one time. I wouldn't say he babysat me, he just watched me. And he was like he had did a reference to a Andrew Dice Clay nursery rhyme. And I think that he thought it would be funny because I'm a kid, and he's like, oh, I'll just tell you a nursery rhyme. And he told me this dirty nursery rhyme. And I was just like, that's funny. And he goes, you never heard that before? And I go, no, I've never heard that before. And of course I wouldn't, because I'm 8, I'm 7 or whatever the hell. And then and he says, he goes, go to the closet. He goes, there's a whole bunch of videotapes in the closet. He goes, there's one that's got a big you'll see it. It starts with the D, and it's dice, and it's all written on in marker. And then he puts it on and we watch it. And I'm like, this is crazy. This is great. I was like, so this guy's just talking and just doing this. That's fun. That looks fun. He looks like he's having fun. And then I was like, that's his, in my head, I was like, wow, that's his job. This is that guy's job. So I was like, oh, I want to be that. I want to be a comedian because that's what he said he was. So, but then the first time I got like a really good laugh was, I always got laughs in class, but like they knew me. People in class know who I am. So it's like, it was easy to, I have a second or third chance to make them laugh. And the first time I got a crowd to laugh, because you only get one chance. You only get right now to do it, And, but the first time I got a really, really big laugh, and I was like, oh, that's what that feels like. It was, I went and seen the movie Titanic.
What?
Titanic, I went and seen Titanic. And I think I was like 13 at the time. And there's a part where Kate Winslet, he's drawing her. And the camera's panning down, and it's about to go to her, to show her chest. And then I just let out a, oh, when it cut, and everyone just laughed in the movie theater. And I was like, oh, it was just a big collective laugh. And I was like, that's crazy. Cause it wouldn't even have good of a joke. I thought I was like, tack, and then, but it hit, and I was like, that's dope. I was like, that's cool. I like that. I really like that. So, and it's funny because like 3 years later, I'd be on a stage because a high school teacher would sneak me into a bar to do a open mic when I was 16. That's how I got my first start to do
Wow.
stand-up comedy. Yeah. He recently came to a show too. I seen him about a year and a half ago. Also, I haven't seen him in years. And he was just like, and I go, hey man, this is all because you challenged me because we were in class and I was just killing in class. And he said, you think you're funny? I go, I'm hilarious. He goes, you think you could do that at an open mic at a bar? And I was like, I just made like 30 kids laugh. I can make 6 drunks laugh. That's easy. He goes, all right. So he takes me. There was another substitute teacher that was a comic, and he knew where it was at, where the mic was at. So we went to the open mic, and I went up and I bombed. I bombed super hard. I ate
Oh,
shit. Oh, can I cuss? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cuss.
yeah, no, don't worry about it.
I ate shit. So I was like, oh man. And then I got off and I was like, hey man, is this every week? And he was like, yeah, every Wednesday. I was like, well, can you sneak me back next Wednesday? And he said, why would you want to come back? You didn't do good at all. And I go, I know, but I learned a couple of things. And he goes, what'd you learn? I go, well, I learned that people are going to laugh. I go, one, people are going to laugh because you're funny, or two, they're going to laugh because they're trying to get you to shut up. And you just got to figure out which laugh you're getting in real life. And then you'll start to figure it out. And then he was like, all right. So that's what I started doing. I was like, okay, I got to figure out who's laughing to give me, who's giving me courtesy laughs, and who's like really seriously laughing. What I'm saying is something funny, or what can I roll on? So I started out with that, and that's what I started doing. I'm sorry, you asked one question. I answered like 17.
Oh, no, please. You're awesome. This is great. How does one get belly laughs as opposed to sympathy or haha or oh yeah, right? You know, if you've done so much, and I'm sure you know the answer to this, and I want your spin on it. How do you get the deep, heavy laughs?
Um, I think for me, it's stuff that makes me laugh, because it's really hard to make me laugh. It's so if I think it's funny, I'm like, oh, this is hilarious, and I can get it across. Uh, and I got to figure out how to. Sometimes it sucks because I got to figure out how to break it down so someone will understand it and someone will get it. So, and then that's the whole where the writing comes in, and the shaving of the joke and whatnot, or trying to set up the context. And so I heard this quote a long time ago when I was a kid. I was like 18, and it said I read it was in a Bartlett's book of quotes, and it said if you make people think, they will hate you, but if you make people think that they are thinking, then they'll love you. And I was like, oh, okay. So I started writing stand-up like that. So I was like, okay, because usually when you make people think like, I don't want to think about that right now, about that COVID shit. I don't want to think about too much. But if you kind of like spark the idea and lead them, and then they think that, like, you know what, someone said something the other day and it really inspired me, and that guy's great. When you inspire someone, you're the fucking shit. So if you can inspire someone to come up with their own thought or paint their own picture in their head, that's when you start getting belly laughs. So it's like very, it's, and then you also get these laughs. I don't even go for belly laughs, to be honest. Most of the time I'm going for people to laugh, or like if they don't agree with me, they can still understand me, so they'll be like, oh my God, I never thought of it that way. That's so funny. If you think about it that way, you're right. That is a little sillier. I don't agree with you, but I see where you're going. But that is funny though, if that was true. You know what I'm saying? So it's more stuff like that, or how I write.
Those are some good tips. What do you have to say to somebody who has like 30 minutes of comedy and wants to headline a small show for her first time for a fire department in Texas on Zoom next Thursday?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be the one to ask because of Zoom, because I don't know anything. I didn't do any Zoom shows. I did maybe one during the pandemic, so I don't know how to. I don't have any advice for anybody that's doing Zoom, because that's a different beast. It's a different animal. I don't hate on anybody that does it that way. That's fine. I'm just like, that's not how I operated, because it's like, like people talk shit about improv comics and comics, stand-up comics, they're at war with each other, and I don't really care. Like, however you decide to figure out how to step on the mic and or step and get creative, then by all means do it. I don't even talk shit about people that are social media, once they just, if you stay in your lane, that's fine. But if you start to go into stand up and you're a social media star, but you don't know how to do stand up, but you're just So why don't you learn how to do it? And then, but it's like, oh, well, I'm famous already, so I can't, there's no way I can. It's like, you can go to an open mic, you can work yourself up and get yourself a good 10-15 minutes and, bring up a lot of other comics that need help, and they can help, they'll help you too, right? And get stuff, because they've been doing it a while, and you can create a show, you can host the show, you don't have to headline the show. But
Yeah.
the but as for Zoom, yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, I have some friends that run a fire department down in Texas, and they've been watching my comedy get better. And I've been trying out systematically 30 minutes of material, and it's all been getting pretty good laughs. I mean, for me, that's pretty good. And I mean, I'm not like at a level where I'm sure you're at, because you're getting booked at major clubs and contests and everything. But for me, my laughs are getting good results. So I thought, there's no better time to try. Just
Yeah.
try it. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? They love me. They obviously, if they know me and love me, whatever I say is going to be fine. It's like doing it for your friend. It's not really headlining,
No,
but
but do it.
I'm looking at it seriously like I'm headlining.
Do
But
it. I
I'm
mean,
really, it's for
a
friends.
year ago, everything was going to end. The whole world was going to end. So might as well do everything that you can. I was at a baseball game. I went to see the A's and the Giants, and we're about to do the wave, and this guy was like, "No, I don't do the wave. We don't do that here. That's bullshit." And I turned around and looked at him. I go, "Last year, man, nobody could do it. No one had a choice if they could do it or not. So do it. 'Cause, I mean, it seems cheesy and corny, but it's those little small things that you might miss, So and he looked at me, he was like, "Yeah, you're right." He was all drunk. He's like, "Yeah, you're right, you're right. Let's go." So he started doing the wave. And the funny thing about it was I didn't really want to do the wave either, but I was like, I don't want to be, I don't want to not enjoy life now that I get to be back in it, with everybody.
Well, let's talk about enjoying life a whole new way because of the pandemic for a minute. So you see things, you're very observational, and you
Mhm.
notice the littlest things. And so what is it that you might have noticed that other people didn't notice that you've seen in a funny way? Like you could sit and get depressed about the pandemic and how it affected the whole world. But I bet as an observational comedian, it might have depressed you a lot, but you probably also saw a whole lot of comedy in it.
Actually, what's funny is when the shutdown happened, I mean, it was well, I was supposed to go travel and do another USO thing with another comic is Daniel Dugar. And we were gonna go to it was Singapore, Australia, Guam, and a place called Diego Garcia that's somewhere out in the Indian Ocean.
Wow.
It's some base out there. And but uh I worked my ass off like really hard for that 3 years prior. And so when this shutdown happened, I wasn't depressed. I was like, oh, this is dope. Like I wanted a break too. It was so funny because I was like, yo, I'm gonna take me a break. I need to go somewhere where there's no stand-up at. Because I was like, every time I go to a different city or I travel out the country or somewhere, I'm like, and there's an open mic or there's a stage I can get on. I'm like, oh, let me do it. And that's my problem because I'm like, oh, if third year Carlos could see this Carlos now and he doesn't want to get on stage somewhere, like if you have the opportunity to get up anywhere you want and you're not doing it, then that's ridiculous. Like I mean, at year 3, I wanted to get up everywhere and do it all. So it's like I owe it to my third year comic self to always get on stage whenever there's one possible. So I was like, oh, you know what I'm gonna do? Because I was like, oh, the ocean, like I'll go on the middle of the ocean. I was like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll go on a cruise for like 3 or 4 weeks and not do stand up. And then my next thought was like, wait, there's comedy clubs on the cruises. And I was like, I wonder who books that, And so then that next thing I know, I started getting on it, and I ended up getting a cruise agent, So I was like, all right, yeah. And then I was like, and then that's when the pandemic hit, like it really hit, and I was like, oh, okay, damn. So I got the cruise agent, but like we're gonna work together still because she just hit me up recently, so that's gonna happen. But yeah, I can't even relax. So when the pandemic hit, I got to relax. I was like, okay, take several seats, and I realized I had no more social circle now since stand up was gone, because I all I did was work. Like, and then I would see working comics, there's a big difference between seeing comics and seeing working comics, and after a while you get into that circle where it's like, oh, you see a working comic relationship is funny because it's like this little fraternity where it's like, oh, I mean, I might not seen this guy for 6 months, but we pick up right where we left off, and it's fun having everyone's really interesting and cool. It's fun. I mean, it's really great. I remember one time I was in Chicago and I was by myself, and I got a layover. I was like, well, I'm stuck here for a day. It was on Monday. Let me see about this. I found out this place in Chicago. I was like, yeah. I called them up and I was like, I wondered if you had like some stage time or space, and they're like, no, we don't, but it's a book show, you can come down anyways. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll come down, support. I ain't got nothing else to do. So I get there and the lady's like, yeah, we'll throw you up actually because we got a fallout. And I was like, cool. Then in my next head I was like, yo, man, I gotta show them what's up, because like I can't come here and just eat shit. They're gonna say this next comic's from Sacramento and I gotta represent, so it's like, all right, that's always in the back of my head, especially because Sacramento's so small too. People are always talking shit, even like especially with the Kings, they're like, oh, the smallest market, more than all that shit. So I get there and this guy named Travis Nelson walks in. And I was like, what's up, Travis? And he was like, what are you doing here? I was like, what are you doing here? I met him up in Seattle. And I was like, nothing, man, just chill. I want to get some stage time. And then they're like, yeah. And then the headliner walks in, the closer, and it's Jessica Michelle Singleton. And I met her in the Slow Comedy Festival, it was like, hey, what's up? What are you doing? Before you know it, like I knew the whole show that was booked. And I was like, oh, this is dope. Like, oh yeah, that's right. We're hanging out with my friends in different cities. It's really, really fun. Yeah. But now and then also the COVID happened, and you don't get to run into anybody, because that's how I would see my friends, would be like that, because
because you run with a different circle of comics than I do as an open micer getting guest spots. The people I run with aren't the ones that you see on a regular.
Mm-hmm. Unless I come to the town.
Yeah.
When I come to the town, like I do go to I go to the mics and I go hang out, because like also too, like I'm a fan of stand-up, and if I see it, I want to see talent. I want to see someone that's good. I want to see someone that's new, and see see, like there's been times where I've been like in Phoenix and I accidentally was at a comedy show. I was eating at a restaurant, I think it was called the All-Star Cafe, and they were like, you're in luck, man. Because I got in a day early, and they go, you're in luck, we're having a comedy show in about 20 minutes. So if you're eating while the comedy show is still going on, just let you know. And I was like, oh, really? That's interesting. So I stood and I watched the whole comedy show, and it wasn't that good. And so, but there was two comics that I was like, they have something. So I don't know everything and anything, but I know that I knew a little bit more than they did. So I was like, hey man, I see where you're at. And I was like, because I go, a comic had done this for me one time. He said, hey man, I know where you're at. And he goes, so I'm going to give you some advice and some helpful things. I'm not going to tell you how to do stand up, but I'm going to give you a broader idea, open you up a little bit more to the writing, or to the how you want to go about it. And I took a couple of comics aside, and I was like, dude, I was like, you don't know this, but you're a storyteller. And I was like, and you're a really good storyteller because of your voice. I was like, you have a really good thing where it's like, it's the old saying, you could read a telephone book, and it'd be funny, or it'd be entertaining. I was like, and you got that. And I was like, you got a leg up on everybody, I try to encourage, because you never know, you can run back on the road with those guys too, again, and stuff like that. And, you got to build your community up, and you got to keep good relations and keep everything going and keep it fun.
Yes. One time I got on a bringer show in New York City at Greenwich Village, a bringer show, right? And I was eighth to go up. I was worn out. I'm old. If you make me wait to the end, like I'm doing comedy with a brain injury at 70 years old now, right? And if I'm at the end, I get tired. And I got done doing my set, and I had a killer opening joke. But the rest of it, it was so. It got by. My personality, people love me. It got by. And I got done, and somebody said, you're more of a storyteller than you are a comedian. And I didn't take it well at all. But now I see the value, but I didn't back then. And you make it very palatable. You make people accept the fact that they could be a storyteller as opposed to set up punch.
Yeah. A storyteller would be way better. I mean, because it's like you get to eat up more clock, and then you definitely The storyteller's way better. And you don't have
Totally.
to, you can always come back to you could do a setup punch and you can always come back to your story. It's actually a really good trait to have. Because on top of that too, because you get to keep people's attention. The whole thing about stand-up is to keeping people's attention. When you're doing that setup punch and you're keeping their attention for like 2-3 seconds, and then boom, you hit them with the funny line and it hits. But if it doesn't hit, you're like, oh fuck, I just lost all their attention. Now I'm like, oh shit, what else? What do I do now? Now that's when the nervousness hits in, panic strikes, mouth gets dry, sweating. If not sweating, it's when am I over? Where's the light? Who's here? Oh my God, I'm never gonna do this again. I'm never gonna get booked. I'm gonna quit comedy. I just got fired right now from stand-up by myself. I just fired myself from stand-up. All this shit goes in your head.
All of it. What's the funniest thing you've ever seen happen at a comedy mic or show that shouldn't have happened, but it wasn't part of the planning? Something went down.
A funny thing that happened at a comedy show,
Or scary or weird or stupid. I'll tell you one from Harvey's while you think, if you want. Okay, I'm at Harvey's and they have a fishbowl side of windows when not in the main area. In the other bar, there's just nothing but windows. And that's where they have the beginners do their mics, in front of a goldfish bowl, to do their comedy for the homeless people right outside the window. And so we were doing this one week, and there were homeless people right outside the window, drinking beers out of a case of beer right in front of the window. And the host decided to taunt them from the bar side of the window, just to egg them on, like, you got, just like they were going through this whole charades back and forth. And then the homeless guy comes in with a broken beer bottle to tear apart everybody.
Oh shit.
So, in the only part that was funny is that the host is socially beklept, has no clue of the potential of anything, like you could sit and have a heart attack in front of him and good luck, you're going to die. He's that unaware of his surroundings. And for him to zone in on the window, but not be aware that what it could do is kill us, I just see the irony in it.
I try to think. I'm like, there's been like a lot of I don't know, those fights in the showroom. There's been like flashing in the showroom. There's been and it's never a good flashing either. It's always some unwanted titty. Like that's not, I don't want that one. Like it's never like perky, awesome, cool. It's just, it's never nice. It's never good.
Here, let me share this with you.
Yeah,
it's so nice of them. So benevolent.
Yeah.
That's something that I used to do. Like, I figure I don't take myself seriously as an old lady, but what I do take seriously is being stuck in traffic around a bunch of truck drivers, and I will flash them because they're bored. Come on, they gotta see something.
I'm always I'm always worried about I was like, I'm cool, man. I was like, please, I was like, security, can someone please help this person out? That, and then I'm trying to think what else too happened. If there's anything else that's been, I don't know. It's so funny because I've done so many sets so many times, so it's like it's, you don't even, it's funny, it's like I don't even remember good sets. I just remember terrible sets, like, oh, that shit sucked. And I do remember.
Do you have something funny about when a set went wrong where you figured out why? Like you just laugh at it now, but it really wasn't funny at the time.
No. I'm trying to think. Like mics go out, but it's like that's about it. And there was nothing very like or lights or. No, I don't know. That's a good question because I'm gonna have to think about that because I don't recall.
I used to do my comedy way too slow or slowly, I don't know. And I did it slow. And I've learned to pick up my pace and it helps people stay on board. But when I was doing it slow, I've had hecklers do like this. Come on, get to it. Come on, hurry up. Like I used to think it was their problem. And then I found out it was mine.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I still don't. I'm sorry. I have no answer for the question. I'm so
That's
sorry.
okay. So what is it in the cards for you as far as like what's in your mind? When will you know that you have done everything you want to do before you get to my age and die?
Well, I listened to a lot of people before, uh um and they were like, do everything you want to do everything before you get settled down and have kids and all this stuff. And I think that's the only thing. I'm sorry, that's the only thing I listened to, because I've been like, I'm gonna be 40 next year, and I've been doing everything and that I wanted to do. Like, I've traveled all over the world. And it's not because of stand-up. Like, I stopped doing stand-up and I got addicted to traveling. So I would I would get jobs, and I would save up enough money to buy a plane ticket for 6 months out. And then for that 6 months, I just saved religiously. And then I would take off and I would quit the job and I'd just travel. I'd travel Europe for 3 months, and China and Australia, and I just get lost. And yeah, and then I came back and I did stand up because I wanted to travel the States, because I'd never seen the States before. So, and then with that, I've been single for like the pretty much the duration of the time I've been a comic. So, I didn't have anything to hold me back or tie me down, or someone being upset that I'm doing stand up. So it's been like I've been Peter Pan for the past 10, 12 years, where I
That's
got
so
to just eat wherever I wanted to eat, and see the movie I wanted to see when I wanted to see it, or, not have to, make calls back home or anything like that. So I just been kind of doing whatever I wanted to do for the past, 10, 12 years. So I'm very, I think I've done enough. And I don't know. Everything else right now is just icing on the cake. Like, I don't really care too much of, I mean, there's goals, but then the goals aren't really that important to me, because like, I'm like, hey man, I'm just enjoying myself and enjoying my time. Got a lot of people asking me too. They're like, why aren't you famous now? Or you should be famous by this time, or this and that. And I'm
you
like,
are famous.
oh no, I'm not famous. I was like, I just I
You
kind
get
of
anybody that you get on Laugh Factory, don't you?
yeah.
Yeah, that's famous.
Yeah, it's, and then, and because I tell people, I was like, yo, I feel like I'm good. Like, I went to, like, I don't have to go to an office and hang and listen to Peter, his dumbass weekend. Like, I don't have to, like, I'm winning. Like, I get to hang out with friends. One time, okay, so matter of fact, one time I was I was at the Slow Comedy Festival, and it was me and another comic and another one of our friends, another comic, and we're in the hotel room. And I'm sober now, I don't drink or anything like that. So we're hanging out in the hotel room. One brings us like PlayStation virtual reality, and we're taking turns playing it. We ordered pizza. It's at the house, and I'm drinking Pepsi out the 2 liter. And I was just like, yo man, all I need is like a mom to knock on our door to tell us to keep it down. Like, we're 12 years old, man. We're fucking adults. I'm 12 years old. This is great. So it's like, yeah, I get to travel the world. I get to I get to do my dream. I get to make people laugh. I get to, I get paid for it. I was like, yeah, I get to go to hotel rooms. This is dope. Like, I'm good here. I think fame is scary, to be honest. Like, no one's talking shit or no one's saying anything and judging my life right now. So I love my anonymity. I like that I get to still be a person, do my job, still enjoy my life without having anybody picking at it. You know what I mean? Because that's the point I got in the stand-up, was so that I don't have a boss. So I'm my own boss.
That's funny. I mean, I hear it, but I also hear the funny in the way you're saying it. What, were you ever in the military?
No, I never was in the military. I was gonna go, and then I bitched out. No, yeah. So I was gonna go, and I was like, yeah, I want to see the world. And a friend of mine was like, well, why don't you just go see the world then? And I was like, but I want to get in the military because then I'll get paid to go do it. And like, you just you can get paid, and so once you, but then they're going to tell you where you have to go when you have to do the things. You don't know that they're going to tell you that you have to everything you have to do. And I was like, oh, I don't like that. And he was like, I know you don't. You're not that guy. And I was like, yeah. And so I saved up, I got enough money, and I took off, and then I even went to college for like a semester, and I was just like, I came back completely different. Everything changed for me. I was like, oh, the world is really big, and nothing is that important or dramatic that was happening in my life right now. So I was like, okay, well, very humbling, very centering. So I was like, let's go and enjoy everything. And I got into a big type of, I guess, oh, it's gonna sound so douchey, but maybe like
I
I got
love
like
it.
like a like an inner social renaissance, where like I never read books in high school. I didn't drop out. I got kicked out of a lot of high schools, so I didn't read Catcher in the Rye. I started reading Catcher in the Rye. I started reading, Chekhov. I started reading like
Ah,
all these books that because I was on trains and planes and stuff like that, and so I started like self-educating. It was like my own little personal YouTube before YouTube was around, and
wow.
I got to just study and learn stuff that I wanted to, and watching foreign films and just getting into like all this art and stuff like that, because it was just different now. I wasn't just this kid in Sacramento that was supposed to live and die there. So it was good. And then I really, and so that's why I know that like stand up and anything and everything isn't the end all be all. So it's like it's okay. Everything's gonna be fine. Like especially since after I got sober and I started having faith too. I'm like, all right, well, I'm good. I'm okay. Everything's fine. My needs and my wants are two different things, and I just got to understand that my needs are way more important and they're met. My wants are just what the world influences me on what I think I should have, which isn't real.
Yes, that's a good point. I love that. I'm a person of faith too. Sometimes we go through trials that push our faith, and we sometimes, like in a pandemic or
Mm.
relationships or health, you can almost lose your faith. I mean, it's only of a mustard seed. It's not like it's a ginger jar or something. It's the faith is our
Yeah,
in the real scheme of things, it's us trying to understand a higher power that, and like what is that anyway? That's like a mustard seed talking to an oak tree.
yeah.
It's like, yeah.
And
So
yeah, I'm sorry.
so I had a really good kind of a closing question and I've forgotten it. I'm doggone it. I wanted to say something. What were you going to say a second
Uh,
ago? Maybe
man,
it'll come back to
I totally forgot
me.
too. Could it be about I mean, I don't know, futures, presents, stand up, what else was it
I
that was
really like I really wanted to, one of my goals, and I haven't let go of it, is to American Idol, AGT, Last Comic, all those are fun things. Dry bar, they're fun to think about. But one day I would love to be good enough. I mean, out there in the future,
Mhm.
to be on Madison Square Garden stage and
Oh,
strong enough to handle a New York crowd. And that's what motivates me every day. Where your motivation is to be grateful for the stage time, and the Carlos that started third year into comedy talks to you and says be grateful and get out there and keep going. I've got the person that says not you're nothing, but keep going till you don't go to be good enough to be at this little dive type bar. Be
mm.
good enough everywhere you go to kill at Madison Square Garden. Do you have one of those in your head?
Um, I used to, but I don't anymore, because I'm like because that for me, that voice, like as because I'm an addict, and so it's like I have to like make sure that the whole thing is being humble and having humility. So especially going through the program and dealing with all this stuff, and it's like, yo man, you're in a really good position, and you should really also your health. Other things are way more important than this is something that you want to do, and that's great, and keep doing it if it makes you happy. But if it doesn't make you happy, then you should stop doing it. So stand up right now, it makes me happy, so I'm not stopping doing it. And because I keep going and keep doing it, the trick in stand up, if you want to get good, just keep doing it. It's just like, so uh I'm lucky and blessed enough that I keep doing it and things keep happening for me, and I'm grateful and blessed when anything does happen. Even when a joke comes out correctly, but first time I say it on stage, I think that's a big accomplishment, as just the same as one is getting booked at a comedy club or getting a TV thing. I'm like, yo, because saying a joke that I first came up with and my thought process, and it just wrote itself, like that's a way bigger accomplishment to me than getting the call to be at Madison Square Garden, because for one, that joke is not, it's just a seed that probably can expand into another 10 or 20 or 15 minutes, or it's something that revives your creativity. Because that's another thing people get scared about in stand-up. They're like, oh, I don't know, the funny might run out, time might run out, I might get aged out. And it's like, you're an endless well of creativity. There's no way that's going to happen. There's no way that, like I say, since the faith thing comes into play, I'm just the vessel, I'm just the instrument. So it's like, if I stay a childlike, I'm always going to have funny ideas and good things, and be creative, because that's how I want to live my life. So when a new joke hits, or when a new joke just comes to me, that's so much more important.
Got it.
Yeah.
I have one
Sorry.
last, I did think of my last question. My
Okay.
last
Okay.
question, I love to get this. This is advice for me, and I'm sure it's a blessing for anyone to hear from you as a veteran of comedy. What is, okay, I'm going to speak to using phraseology or the arrogance people throw around in comedy. I don't know which it is, but
Mhm.
let's say I get off stage as a relatively new comic and I ask someone at your level, like, could you give me some tips? I saw you killed out there. I say,
Mhm.
so usually what you hear back is, well, you just need to learn to read the room or keep going back. Now, I know what keep going back is, that's a given, but what in your mind do you do to read a room? Because I heard you earlier say that, I mean, you're very observational, so you're going to have some really good input on how to read different rooms. Could you help me understand from your point of view what you put into reading a room?
There's a lot of things that go into reading a room. There's like the way the room's set up. That's another way. Like, just the way, if it's in a dank bar, or like, do I have to yell? Do I have to project? Do I have to are the tables round? Are they circle? Are people standing? People are standing are more uncomfortable. They're not prone to laugh as much. Is it hot in here? If it's hot, then people definitely don't really want to laugh. If it's cold, okay, this is better for comedy. Oh, what's the demographic? Is it older crowd? Is it younger crowd? Oh, by the way, if is it a crowd that's, there's a difference between an old crowd and then an older crowd, because I've noticed this. I was doing a clean set, and I have a clean set. I could do clean, and I did it, and it didn't hit very well. And I was just like, what's going on? Like, this is tested, and I wasn't off. I mean, what's happening? They just didn't like it. And then I realized, oh, because they are 65, 70 or plus, they don't get some of the references I'm talking about. This is, oh, I have to write a whole new clean hour for people that are 65 and above, so I can start saying references that they get. Or like, also the older crowds tend to have a longer attention span, if they're not mentally checked out already. But they have a longer attention span, so you can tell a story, they are with you, they're going to stick around, as opposed to someone younger, where it's like hit 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 hit. Like I said, younger crowd. Is it a predominantly a black crowd, Mexican crowd, white crowd? I start looking around. Is there a lot of women? Is this a date night? you know and then stuff like that. So that's how I would read a room. And then also watch the show. I watch the show. Some comics don't watch the show, some headliners won't watch it, or some people that are closing won't watch the show. I watch the whole thing, because that's how I'm reading the room. I'm seeing what they like and what they don't like, what hit and what didn't hit from other comics, and why didn't it hit. Maybe it would have hit if the person would have stayed committed to it, because they were with them, they just didn't read the room when they were on stage correctly.
Give me an
Yeah.
example of that. That seems interesting, and then we'll kind of sort of sign off. But I want to hear about, like, give me an example without names or places where, or a made up fictitious, where somebody is doing something, they might not be committed, or they might not deliver it correctly at all.
It's just
And
confidence. It's just something that shows in the confidence of someone. You've probably seen it yourself. You've seen someone on stage where you're like, you can tell someone's not confident on stage. I don't like when people tell me how long they've been doing it on stage. That's another thing to the new comics do. I always tell them when they come off, I go, do not tell people how long you're doing it or how many times you've been up. Don't go up there and say this is my first time, or don't go up there and say I started comedy 6 months ago. Just go up there and do your stand-up, because they don't know and they don't care. They are already there. They are confident in you. They trust you already. And once you say something like that, they're like, oh, well, this guy doesn't know what he's really doing. It's like a doctor. If come walks in a room, he doesn't tell you, hey, I'm first year. It's like, and it's like, well, can I get a real doctor? Can I get someone that knows what they're doing? So it's like, that's how people think. So it's like, can we get a real comic? Well, now we just got to wait for this guy to finish his dream or finish his bucket list thing, and we can get onto the real show. So I would don't do that. But you can tell someone when they don't have confidence on stage, they'll start going into a joke and they'll bail on it. And it's like, why'd you bail on it? We were waiting for it. We were all with you. And then it's like, oh, like what you call, you guys didn't seem like you guys were into, the sex joke. So I had to bail out. And it's like, no, buddy, you just lost confidence, and you jumped in the pool and got shrinkage. We got you. Don't worry. It's like, there's always the next time.
Wow. And so commit to it and do it. Even if you
have confidence. Yeah. Sell it.
You start a joke, sell it. You got to read. Like I talk to myself and I tell myself, no, it doesn't matter if you're the oldest person on most lineups. You're relevant. You can make your stuff relevant. No, people do want to listen to an old lady. They do. Make yourself likable, make sure that they see that you relate to them and that you care about them. And,
funny
you have to talk to yourself.
Funny is funny. That's all it is. That's all. People get all upset and they get all uptight about, like, oh, well, this lineup, I'm the only gay person. I'm the only black person. Funny is funny. It'll supersede all of that shit. So it's like, go up there. I to be honest, like, I don't really think people that are young are funny. I think that they don't have any life experience to draw back on and to make something creative and funny. And it's just like, you go up there and you're just weird. And like, I could see weird on a fucking public transit. I don't need to go to pay, $20 to go see it on stage. So it's like, I want to see someone that's got some life and got some wisdom behind their surliness. And it's like, that's funny. That motherfucker's pissed off, or that chick, she's had it with this, or her point of view is so different and so unique because she's wise and has lived a life. And if it's funny, it's funny. People are always like, they always say to you, like, oh, girls aren't funny. And it's like, everyone is funny, and everyone can be funny if they could just find it. They could just amplify their voice. I know a ton of women that are hilarious, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, but some of them don't want to get on stage. I was like, dude, you would definitely need to get on stage. Or there'd be some girl comics that I hang out with that say a lot of funny shit off mic. And I'm like, dude, why are you talking about this? Why aren't you saying that? And they're like, oh, well, they won't get that. They don't want it. I was like, that's your job, is to make them get that, to break it down and make it, contextualize it, write it, figure it out. That's who you are. You've always been the funny person in your circle. You've always been the funny cousin, the class clown. So now just figure out how to amplify that when you're on stage, and it'll work, as opposed to trying to cater. And because when you cater to audiences, you're a hack. That's all you're doing now. You're doing top hits of fucking the last classic 40s. So sorry, I'm trying to get all stand-up science and get all pissed off about.
No, I love it. I wanted your opinion, and I appreciate your opinion. And I would rather get opinions from somebody who's you say you're observational. Well, then I'm going to pick your brain because you observe. Like, yeah. Wow, this is my opportunity to learn.
Me and another comic, we like to, his name's Big Irish J.
Yeah.
And we're always talking stand-up science because it's just so much, it's so interesting. The writing, the joke, the structure, the craft, the room, the setup, the interactions, the people, the politics, the playbooks. It's interesting. It's really interesting. After you figure out funny, you got to figure out a whole bunch of other shit, which is constantly comedy asking you, do you still want to do this? Are you sure you still want to do this?
One of my favorite things that I just learned and tried, and it worked. I got on over at LA Comedy Club. I had Mike Krasner put me on one of his midnight shows, and I had them laughing before I was talking. And that's such a challenge. Like, you have to come from like in the middle of the room. At the time, you had to come like through the middle of the room. So I was standing there thinking about something I heard Steve Marshall in New York say that use every opportunity you can to see that they see who you really authentically are before you take the mic.
Mhm.
And so I tried it, like I was acting like I couldn't wait to get to the mic stand. And they were laughing before I even started.
Yeah.
And I thought, there's nothing I can do wrong now.
The LA Comedy Club is a really great comedy club too. It's very unique, and it's so funny because that comedy club is anywhere and nowhere USA, So it's like each night, each show is completely different from the last one. Like it's not the same people from the same area. It's Vegas. So it's tons of, you may have gotten a whole bunch of people that were just out of a bachelor party and they're all from Chicago. And then the next, you got a tons of people that are just coming in from Alaska, and it's like, oh, okay, hey, you guys doing? How's it up there? You got a whole bunch of people that are stuck because their airplane didn't go, and so now they're like, well, we might as well catch a comedy show here, and they're all upset. Or some people are losing their ass off in the casinos, and you got to make them laugh. That's fucking tough to make someone forget that they lost rent. So it's tons of that. It's great. It's a great comedy club. It's a war room for sure.
Yes, absolutely. I love that room. I love the way they make it so palatable for the comedians.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
great.
it feels like a home club in a big city.
Mm-hmm. Matt and Joaquin are great. I love those guys. I love that room. I love this. They're there. It's like it's my new home club here.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you
Is
too. You're welcome.
in closing, you get to say anything to people who are watching, like where to follow you, where you're going to be performing, where you want to, what cities you want to go to that they can try to get their club to get you booked. Anything you want to, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, if you need money, say anything you want.
I'm Carlos Comedy on everything. What is it? Twitter, Instagram. I think the real Carlos Comedy on TikTok. I think Venmo as well is the same thing. I'll go anywhere. If anybody wants me in their town, just try to get me there. I'm down. I'm down to go. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, and I'll be at what am I? I'm at the Punchline in Sacramento, September 24th to the 26th. Then I'm also in Big Pine Comedy Festival in Phoenix, Arizona at the House of Comedy, October 3rd to the 6th. And I'm in Stir Crazy in Glendale on November 18th, or no, not November, September 18th and 19th. It's a weekend. I'll be there Friday and Saturday. Yeah, go to that. Check me out there if you can.
That's Glendale, Arizona.
Yeah, Glendale,
right?
Arizona.
Okay, because I think there's one in California too, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Glendale, Arizona. Well, awesome. I wish you all of the continued success that you've already had. And I think of you as a celebrity guest, a legend already. And you're at the Laugh Factory. And you've been on all these things. Oh my gosh. I will repost it so people can see all your accomplishments. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
All right. Check it out later.
Carlos. Bye-bye.
Let's see.